Let's try now. Can you hear me now? I think you can hear me now. Honestly, you probably can see from the look around my head. Look at the screen. What is this? What is happening? I don't really understand. So basically, what's happened is, and the reasons why I'm slightly late is because of this right now. I don't know what is happening, but basically, I usually use OBS StreamYards to do these shows, and for some reason, StreamYard just didn't let me access OBS StreamYards, so I've had to use StreamYards green screen, which is awful, as you can see. That's why this is happening. So I don't really know what's going to happen with this show. We're going to try and bring you a show. But other than that, I have no idea how we're going to try and fix anything because StreamYard is messed up this morning. But we'll get on it. Hopefully it'll be all fixed and sorted for tomorrow. But madness. Anyway, let's crack on with today's show. As always, go and subscribe to the Arsenal Way. There won't be any issues over there because I don't have to use these types of things. But hopefully it'll be fixed by the time we're over there. And also, secondly, make sure that you're checking out the channel and subscribe and like if you're new. We kick off with the news that yesterday Arsenal's under 23s drew 2-2 with Blackburn in a really interesting game because Aziz got on the score sheet and Souza as well, our brand new under 23s left back, 17-year-old signing, really exciting youngster coming through the ranks there. We signed him from West Brom. And he did really, really well yesterday and got a goal and got on the score sheet. Unfortunately, we couldn't hold on for the win and we lost the 2-goal lead. But it does annoyingly put us in a position. It puts us in a position where the title race for the under-23s is all but done. It's over. Arsenal have fallen away from it. And that was kind of expected to happen because, we lost following Balogun. We've lost a number of players. Alabiosu, Norton Cuffy's gone as well. We've lost, who else has gone? Tim Akinola has left. He went to Dundee. There's loads of players that have moved on that were doing really well in the first half of the season. And that's fine. It's not about winning the league and the under-23. It's always this. But fingers crossed, it improves towards the end of the season and players that are getting those minutes start to learn much more developmentally wise. Speaking of those youngsters, Brooke Norton-Cuffy, reports emerged yesterday, according to David Ornstein, that Arsenal are looking to sign him up to a brand new contract. And the expectation is that he will sign that new contract. So that's really, really positive news from Arsenal's perspective, that this is one of the young 18-year-old right backs that is really impressive, despite the fact he did get sent off at the weekend for supposed violent conduct, although there was a lot of confusion and controversy around whether or not it was worthy of a red card. But he was sent off. But he's set to sign a new deal, will return in the summer and likely take part in Arsenal's pre-season tour of the States, which is going to be fantastic. Our next story revolves around Lucas Torreira and the confirmation that Fiorentina will be looking to activate the €15 million release clause in his deal, the option to buy at the end of the loan contract. That combined with Matteo Guendouzi's loan that will turn into an obligation to buy at the end of the season. In fact, I think Marseille have already confirmed they will be buying Matteo Guendouzi. But all of those things combined means Arsenal are going to get around €25 million for the pair, which isn't a lot. But it is something. Hopefully it's something that Arsenal can take into the rest of the season. Moving forwards and talking about possible ins, Ruben Neves and his links to Arsenal have taken a bit of a hit this morning because the Portuguese international is being linked quite heavily now with Barcelona. Barcelona are very interested in securing a deal for Ruben Neves in the summer. That being said, Barcelona have been looking more recently at trying to secure players that, are, how do we put this, free and aren't necessarily costing them all that much. And you can understand because they've been facing plenty of issues behind the scenes with finances and, being a little bit cheeky in the market to try and make use of it as best they can. But it certainly looks like it's going to be a situation where Barcelona continue on this front of bringing in players that are, of course, free. 2 seconds. TGT sneeze. I can feel it coming. No. As soon as I say it, it doesn't. Okay, we're going to come back to that. We'll revisit the TGT sneeze because it's definitely going to creep up on me in just a second. Whenever I talk about it, it just doesn't happen for some strange reason. Moving on to our next story. Let's see if it will return by that point. Mohamed Salah is a player that we know can cause Arsenal plenty of problems, and he will be if he is fit for Wednesday's game. And the latest information is that he, of course, missed training yesterday. He missed out on Liverpool training, which giving us a pretty good indication that he may not yet be fit to start the match on Wednesday. This doesn't necessarily mean a huge boost to Arsenal because, look, Mane, Salah, Diaz, Jota, Firmino, they've got an incredible bunch of forward options that they can call upon. So just because Salah's out, it doesn't necessarily weaken Liverpool significantly, but he is their best player, as we know, and he does like a goal against Arsenal as well. So it's definitely positive for an Arsenal perspective to see their best player out at the moment, and hopefully Arsenal can take advantage of that situation as well. And moving on to our headline story of the day, and the story which, of course, will take up the bulk of, I'm sure, today's discussion. In fact, I'm going to leave a question for you guys in the poll in the live chat box, whether or not you think Mikel Arteta should be given a new contract. We've discussed this a number of times, and it does feel like the answer changes very, very rapidly and quickly. So going into the chat box now, should Arsenal give Arteta a new deal now? And I say right now because that is supposedly when Arsenal are looking to try and sort this out. And one of the really interesting parts of this story, as reported by my colleague at Football.London, Chris Wheatley, that PSG are supposedly monitoring the current situation. Of course, Arteta used to play for PSG. So he's got that link, and he's been linked with Barcelona, who he also used to play with as well. So there's these links with his former clubs that keep cropping up. He's currently at one of them with Arsenal, as we know. But from my perspective, I would absolutely be fine with it. My view on this has changed. My view on this has changed since January. I think there is enough evidence to suggest that this is the right move going forwards. I was a little bit wary in January about whether or not, the time between then and the end of the season as to whether we could fall out of the top four race. But things look good. And things are in a situation where we're progressing really, really nicely. And a lot of things at the club have improved over this season. We talked a lot about this on the show a couple of days ago. But I think that a new contract is the right decision and the right way to move forwards. We're going to discuss this a lot more in the chat box in just a second, but do make sure you're voting on that poll. And once you've clicked one of those two options in the poll, do press a like on the like button and show your appreciation to the channel. Scott Hill in the chat box, thank you so much for becoming a brand new member of the channel. I can already see that people are welcoming you to the group, and thank you so much for joining me. Apologies I didn't get to say morning to everybody in the chat box either. There was so many chaos with the technical difficulties as we woke up today that I just didn't get a chance. So good morning to the likes of Runs with Cows and Julian and Carl and Timmy. I didn't even get to check who was first. I think Manu was actually first in the chat box this morning, but because we've gone so far on the show, I've already lost all of those messages. So sorry, guys, if you were indeed first in the chat. But we've just not been able to cover it because of all of the issues that we were facing with the StreamYards messing me about, basically. So you can send a rude letter to them if you like. But without further ado, let's jump into the chat box and see what you guys are saying regarding Arteta's new deal and any other questions that you might have. So, you know what? It looks so silly on the screen. I mean, look, for those that have joined late and wondering what I'm talking about, technical difficulties, this is what I'm talking about. For some reason, I'm just fading away on the screen, as it seems. And I'm having to use the backup microphone because StreamYard doesn't want to recognize this microphone, the one that you can't even see. Like I put it down, it disappears. Like, honestly, I don't know what's going on today. Absolute chaos on StreamYard this morning. Let's see what you guys are saying there in regards to Mikel Arteta's contract as we go through your questions. Olu says, hey Tom, can you please do another player analysis on Osimhen in the international break? We're going to be doing a lot of focus on strikers during the international break, so don't you worry. Matthew says, we hold the power and the contract should be offered on a permanent related basis. Joseph said, do we have a buy option clause for Bellerin's loan? No, it was a straight loan as far as I'm aware, Jose. No option to buy in that loan deal. Hardley says, will Tommy be back for the Liverpool game? Unlikely, but we will hear from Mikel Arteta hopefully within the next 24 hours, but it's unlikely he'll be back. But who knows? He does like to pop up out of nowhere sometimes and get back into the squad. We saw that against Man City. So I'm not going to sit here and say categorically no, but it's very unlikely that he is going to be fit for this game. Chris says, to be honest, I don't think he'll sign it until the end of the season, even if offered it right now. He's big on focus. I agree. But arguably, there's the argument that if he signs it, that's kind of done. And the focus is then taken away from the conversation about his new contract. So possibly so. Ish says, Arteta has done a tremendous job. He inherited a fractured dressing room with self-entitled, overpaid, inconsistent players who lost their appetite for the game, and he has changed the whole energy. Zana says, PSG fans aiming boos at players and directors seems toxic. Arteta spent all that time sorting out toxicity at one club. Can't see him doing it at another club right now. Thracian King says, do you see us going to play a back three tomorrow or staying as is? I think we'll stay as is. But, I wouldn't be against the idea of a back three just to try and combat what they're capable of doing to teams. But maybe going to a back three would mean we would be more welcoming of opposition pressure. And I think if you look at the West Ham victory earlier in the season, arguably Arsenal need to be a little bit more forthright in the way in which they go and try and get a result against Liverpool. GG2 for you says, Arteta absolutely needs a new contract. No shadow of a doubt. James, didn't the same journo who hinted at the Qatari interest in Arsenal start the Arteta to PSG link by comparing him and Poch on touchline behaviour? I don't know, James. I don't know who you're talking about. You'll have to name that person. Mark says, of course, Arsenal should offer a new contract. The Arsenal fans are the most fickle fans around. He's done a phenomenal job. Jay says, Bellerin been doing great in Betis and is on course for a La Liga team of the season. I'm pretty sure he's been missing out on a fair few fixtures. When I was checking kind of how he played of late, I don't know if he's injured, but he'd missed out on a fair few games for Betis. He started the season quite well, but I think recently he's not really been playing. He wasn't in the squad for the last two games, in La Liga at least, and I'm not sure why. I assume injury or, he tested positive, but there's nothing up officially on that. But maybe someone in the chat box will be able to let us know what's going on with Bellerin. But I think he's injured. Yes, Xander says he's injured, so there you go. But I know he was missing out on a fair few games. Axe says there is absolutely no reason for not giving him a new contract. I was very unsure about him earlier, but he has proven he is the right man to take us forwards. He improving the team game by game. Afsal says, Tom, should Arsenal play three at the back? Again, we'll discuss it a lot more on tonight's preview show. We're doing a preview show at 5 p.m. Hopefully, the technical issues will be sorted out by that point, but no promises. But I'm going to spend half an hour after this show messaging StreamYard rather intently. Let's go to Wallaf, who says, did anyone see Tomiyasu warming up against Leicester? No, I didn't. I didn't see that, but interesting. Bismarck says, hey, Tom, I'm increasingly getting more interested in Florian Neuhaus. Me too. I would really love to see his metrics compared to Xhaka, Fabian and Tielemans, and I think Arteta deserves a new deal. Well, if he gets linked, we will certainly be covering him in a tactical breakdown, don't you worry. GG2 for you says, I'd love to know the opinion of these Arteta outers right now. Stephen says, Tom, do you think the Liverpool only weakness is teams who go one foot against them? Look, I think on the front foot, I think that a team that can get the first goal against Liverpool's got a really good chance of winning. If you go 1-0 down, the likelihood of getting back in the game is very, very slim. So you need to score first if you want to get any kind of chance of beating Liverpool. Melelo in the chat box, apologies if I pronounced that wrong, or maybe it's just a silent M and it's Pumelelo, says, if you had to choose one, wear a Spurs shirt or spend a morning or an afternoon or a day, I'm not sure who he's asking, but with Piers Morgan. Wow. There are very few things in the world that would make me put a Spurs shirt on. And that's one of the big worries I have about my stag do, actually, is the best men getting a Spurs. I outright refuse if that happens. But that's like one of the worst things that could happen is a possible Spurs shirt. But spending a day with Piers Morgan, that's up there with one of the worst things you could do. Speaking of which, I mean, people saw his tweet yesterday, Aubameyang replying to his tweet. Actually, I was quite impressed with the way Aubameyang replied to it. But I hope that Aubameyang doesn't think that all Arsenal fans are like that and are believing that. I'm sure that they don't. So, fingers crossed that's the case. Marcus says, are you going to do a Renato Sanchez injury report? Bailey can co-host it and it'll be a long show covering his injury career so far. You'll have to ask Bailey in the Arsenal way chat box a little bit later on. Semugera says, Tom, we don't need Neves, Renato, or nor Fabian. We only need to sign Kakare from Lyon. He's just 21, but he can do it for the Gunners. Viray says, what do you think of Sasa Kalajic from Stuttgart? Last season, he was doing quite well. He was injured for a lot of this season, and obviously he's only just come back into the fold, I'm pretty sure. Let me have a quick check on how he's been getting on since returning from injury. Scrolling down. Yeah, he's played 8 games, scored 3 goals, 2 assists. How much of those have happened recently? Yeah, in his last 5 games that he was featuring in, he's got 3 goals and 2 assists. He's proven to be a very, very decent player for them. They just can't get the results, unfortunately. How old is he now? 24. It's of a good age. I think he'll probably move on from Stuttgart, but I imagine he'll probably end up staying in Germany. German and Austrian players, outside of Germany and Austria, it's not that common. So I imagine he'll probably end up staying there. But, you're right to raise the name because he is impressing after coming back from injury, which not a lot of people end up doing, to be fair. Axe says, who else are really looking forward to Spurs bottling the game as usual tomorrow? I can't wait for it. Who are Spurs playing tomorrow? Is it Brighton? They're away to. It is. They're away to Brighton. I mean, if they do bottle that, wow, they really probably would be out of it. Deep 11 says, is Brooke Norton Cafu coming back next season? He will obviously come back. He hopefully will sign a new deal. Whether or not he joins up with the senior squad, we'll have to wait and see, or whether he goes on another loan as well. Yeah, it is Brighton. I did think it was. Golden Owl says, I can see this man being the next Alex Ferguson. Wow, that is high praise indeed. AFC West Mid says, Arteta clearly had a vision and a plan on how to achieve it. We will have to wait and see the transfer market moves and next season before we can really judge. But massive praise for what he has done. Absolutely. Right. Apologies that it's only a short show today, but the reason why we're only doing a short show is because I want to try and sort out these technical difficulties so we're fine for the show tomorrow and later. If you have joined in late and you're wondering what I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking about. Why is this happening? And why can I not use my microphone, StreamYard? Why can't I use it? Someone give me an answer. So that's why we're cutting the show short today, and that's why I'm going to spend the next half an hour trying to sort it out for the Arsenal way, which I've just realised we do on StreamYard, so I need to get it sorted. Fingers crossed I can. If not, have a fantastic day, people. I hope you have a really enjoyable Tuesday. It's the worst day of the week. It absolutely is the worst day of the week, Tuesday. So if you can get over that, you can get over anything. I will see you this afternoon at 5 o'clock. I'll also see you in just over an hour's time on the Arsenal way as well. Enjoy the rest of the day. See you soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.